What is up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the boundlessly boisterous Dr. Disaster, and I'm sad to say that there are a few troubling developments that are taking place with a game that I have been looking forward to. Doom: The Dark Ages dropped today, and I'm afraid that I don't think I'm gonna buy it, at least not for now.
Oh, what fresh hell is this?
No, it isn't woke or anything like that, but as you can see here, some Doom fans are canceling their Doom: The Dark Ages pre-orders, and it's a very specific set of customers who are doing so, notably people who bought physical copies of the game because apparently the fricking disc doesn't have anything on it. It's basically a glorified digital download, and you guys know how I feel about digital copies of games.
No, sir, I don't like it.
And to top it off, there's another eye-rolling change that was made for the game, as Geralt of Gunia on X wrote here, Doom: The Dark Ages has replaced one of the series' iconic difficulty names, a staple since the original Doom in 1993, I'm Too Young to Die, has been renamed Aspiring Slayer. Why was this change made? And as Pirate Nation uncovered on X, there is something called the Accessible Games Initiative, who have been urging developers to make changes like this in order not to hurt the fee-fees of certain gamers.
If you don't like it, that's tough shit, you know?
So just to be clear, because a bunch of games journalists who suck at gaming, because a bunch of them out there get their bad feels when they see a joke aimed their way by having the difficulty setting named in a slightly demeaning way, apparently the rest of us can't enjoy that joke any longer. This isn't the biggest deal in the world, and it doesn't make the game dead to me or anything like that, but I don't care for it, and it needs to be pointed out and mocked. For anyone out there who actually thought that was a good idea, there's something that needs to be said, something that should have been said to you long ago when you were just a wee lad or lass.
Don't be such a pussy.
Alright, me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and also, please consider supporting the channel by becoming a member. The first part of the novel that I've written, a dark fantasy story called The Darkest Heritage, is now available in audiobook format for members only. The book itself will be ready to purchase on Amazon in the near future, but in the meantime, if you want to support alternatives to mainstream crap, then consider becoming a member of the channel for as little as $5 per month. Anyhow, let's talk about Doom: The Dark Ages. First of all, let me state very plainly that I am not in opposition to this game at all in general. In fact, I think that the game looks sweet and I want to play it. The reviews are good. I'm hearing from people that I trust that it's good. Don't let what I'm reporting color your opinion of the game itself. All of that other stuff aside, if you're someone who doesn't mind digital copies of games, and if the difficulty level being renamed doesn't bother you, then give the game a whirl. There were some people out there giving the game a hard time because if you look here at the Steam charts for Doom: The Dark Ages, they only hit 30,000 players or so at its peak, but guys, that is pretty premature. The game became available at midnight on a Thursday morning. By the time you're watching this video on Thursday afternoon/evening, I can almost guarantee the player count peak will be higher. In fact, as I've said on this channel, I suspect Doom will sell a ton of copies. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit 1 million units sold in its first few days, despite being on Game Pass. The franchise is obviously well known and massive, and it looks as though it plays similarly to Doom Eternal, which works for me. Anyhow, the biggest problem is that physical copies of Doom the Dark Ages are basically false advertising. They aren't actually physical copies of the game, at least not in the traditional sense, because the game isn't even on the disc. As you guys might know, I'm a collector of games. Physical copies. My collection is massive. In fact, it is so massive that several years back, I actually opened a store that sold video games. With a fraction of my collection, I opened it, and it was a successful business. I've made a ton of money by holding on to games, collecting them, and hoarding them. So you can see why I'm such a massive proponent of physical copies. I don't own the game store any longer, mind you. I'm divested, but still very much in the hobby. So anyhow, let's read some of this article from Game Rant, where they tell us a bunch of people are canceling pre-orders. It says here, days before the launch of Doom the Dark Ages, some fans took to social media to state they had canceled their pre-orders after it was uncovered that the game's disc only contained a tiny amount of data and not the full product. Ergo, Doom the Dark Ages requires a full 85 gigabyte download of the game to play on all available platforms. And now, let's skip down to here where it says, after news broke that physical copies of Doom the Dark Ages contained only a little bit of data, players took to social media to protest the matter, as reported by Pure Xbox. A Twitter user named Does It Play stated that some fans had canceled their pre-orders of Doom the Dark Ages due to the controversial physical release decision. With only a small amount of data on both the PS5 and Xbox Series X game discs, this means that playing Doom the Dark Ages will require a substantial download of approximately 85 gigabytes on consoles. The steep download requirement is a major problem for users without access to high download speeds. And then, in the article, they include that tweet from Does It Play, which says, the amount of people canceling their pre-orders or outright skipping Doom the Dark Ages because of the botched physical release is huge. We always get these comments in our bubble, but this time it is disproportionate. And now, I thought it would be fun to weigh in on this claim. As most of you likely know by now, I have several contacts in the retail world, people with access to the sales data of almost 50 retail stores in high traffic areas. Years of being in the hobby and working in the industry gave me some connections, and I can absolutely tell you that yes, there have been people canceling pre-orders over the physical game being a sham, or at least that is the presumable reason that they canceled. A week and a half ago, I reported that the game was at 148 copies pre-ordered in those almost 50 stores, and when comparing it to other games, we could see that it was trending behind the likes of Space Marine 2 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but it was trending well ahead of games like Dragon Age the Veilguard or Star Wars Outlaws, so I predicted that the game would sell fairly well, maybe not as well as, like I say, Space Marine 2 or something like that, but it was going to do all right. But when this news dropped that there were supposedly people canceling pre-orders, I reached out to my contacts, and it took a day or so to hear back, which is why I didn't report on this right away. But yes, it looks like the final pre-order tally was 142 copies among all of these nearly 50 stores. That doesn't sound like a major drop-off from the 148 that we talked about a week and a half ago, but keep in mind that there were other pre-orders that were added in that week and a half, and the estimate that I'm getting is that there were around 30 to 35 orders that were canceled. That is somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 in 5. That is a lot. So hopefully the powers that be get this feedback and change how they approach making physical copies of their games. I know the studios want to go all digital, but they are losing out on a lot of sales by doing so, and at least for now, they won't be getting my money. But I'm going to leave it there. What do you think about all this? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.